Hi everybody, this is Lara at ElliottWave.com. I'm going to update my wave count for Filecoin for you today. This was requested that I do this from a member at Pure Elliott Wave. And a reminder before I get into this, if you're wanting regular analysis of Bitcoin, I do it every Monday and I publish it for my membership on a subscription basis at ElliottWave.com. The link is in the description box down below if you want to check that out. Filecoin, my last analysis expected upward movement, and I last analysed it back here, and it's broken the channel that contained the bear market. I was looking for that breach for confidence that this low was sustained. So this channel contains all of the bear market. It's now breached, and I would expect that it's most likely the bear market's over. So this is my wave count for Filecoin at the weekly chart level. I expect a third wave up at cycle degree, as in its very early stages. Cycle 3 must move beyond the end of cycle 1, and it has to move far enough above the end of cycle 1 to then allow cycle 4 to unfold and remain above wave 1 price territory. So it has to move a long way above that. Let's look at the daily chart. I want to focus on this structure of how this is unfolding. So this was from my last time I looked at Filecoin. I'm wondering now if, I think intermediate 1 might be over there. So the question is, is intermediate 2 going to be over? Okay, I've got a bit of a problem with this structure of minor wave 4. It looks like a flat correction, and it can't be a zigzag because B has moved beyond the start of A. No problem with A. No problem with B, I think. The problem is C. It doesn't subdivide as an impulse. The only other structure is an ending diagonal, and here the wavelengths don't work. 3 is longer than 1, but 5 is shorter than 3 and 1, and 4 is shorter than 2. So could it be an ending expanding diagonal with 1 and 2 here, and 3 and 4? Yeah, that's going to work. Okay. Oh yeah, and the trend lines look okay. Okay, so that's fine. Let's zoom in on the structure of intermediate 2. Before we go there, the behaviour of price around about this trend line, price reached the trend line, reacted down from resistance there for this fourth wave, broke through. It hasn't tested support. This pullback fell short, and this pullback here fell short as well. So no good tests of support, but price is now moving up and away. This fifth wave looks like a good impulse too. Let's put some labels in there. No, not like that, like this. Yeah, like that. Okay, structure of intermediate 2. I think it's incomplete. This chart's on a semi-log scale, so if I pull in a Fibonacci retracement, it's going to be a logarithmic function of these Fibonacci ratios, which is possibly going to work a little bit better for cryptocurrencies. So this would be my expectation for support for intermediate 2 to reach down to the logarithmic function of the 0.618 Fibonacci ratio of intermediate 1 at 4.3263. Let's get some labels in on intermediate 2. It looks like it may be unfolding as a zigzag. I'm not sure I like the start of C. I think I want to see B over here, but I don't know what structure that's going to fit as. I think A fits pretty well as a 5-wave impulse. Yeah, it does. This first wave has a really good fit. Nice. The fourth wave does not overlap first wave price territory. Okay. Yeah, I want to label B over here. You could label it over here as a triangle, but that would be really forcing it. I'll show you what I mean. You know. Like this. I mean, that fits, but I think D and E are too brief. The BD trend line's not too bad. ABC of the triangle, I might leave that as it is. I think it doesn't make too much of a difference, but I expect a little bit more downward movement for this one. I'll put 1 here. I'm not sure if 2's complete. Could see a little bounce for the short term. And then 3, 4, 5. If my target expectation for 4.3263 is wrong, it may not be low enough. Second wave corrections early on in a new trend, for pretty much every cryptocurrency chart I've ever looked at, do tend to be really, really deep. Intermediate 2 may not move beyond the start of 1, below 2.6785. That's my invalidation point. Let's take a look at some technicals and see if there's support for this wave counter or not. We're going to have a look at the strength of this low and strength or weakness and downward movement here. On the weekly chart, this is the last major low, week beginning 11th of December last year. There is a morning star candlestick reversal pattern. These 1, 2, 3 candlesticks make up a morning star. Let's see if the bullish candlestick, yes, it does have some push from volume. Volume increased from this candlestick to this candlestick. So there was a little bit of support from volume, and then volume did increase in subsequent upward weeks. Overall price is moving sideways and volume is declining and relatively light. There's resistance here about 6.4 and support here about 4.9 to 5.0. We need to see a breakout above resistance or below support to have confidence in the direction of the next trend. Within the bear market, a series of lower lows and a series of lower highs. This is the last major swing high within the bear market. If we can see this taken out, so a new high above 11.242, that's the week beginning 31st of July 2022, a new swing high above that point would break that trend of lower lows and lower highs and add quite a lot of confidence that the bear market is likely to be over here, that this low is likely to be sustained. Overall, as price is moving lower, volume is declining. This week here is actually an upward week, a higher high and a higher low with a small candlestick body. So we need to look inside this week to determine if this spike in volume was for upward or downward movement. So we can't draw a conclusion from that from the weekly chart. On balance, volume has no new reasonable range, no new signal here. ADX on the weekly time frame is telling us there is an upward trend now. It's above 15, the black ADX line is rising and the positive DX line is above the negative. That tells us there is an upward trend. The previous downward trend, it didn't reach extreme. Here's the previous upward trend, and then as we move through the bear market, the DX lines whipsaw, ADX declines, and finally at the end of the bear market, ADX starts to increase. The ADX line doesn't reach 40 and it doesn't reach above both DX lines, so the bear market didn't reach extreme. RSI did reach oversold, however. It's only done that once before in the price history of Filecoin, back here in 2018, and that is associated with a long-term sustained low, so that's very bullish. Here the close for price, 5.1081, and here the close for price, 2.9351, strong bullish divergence after RSI reached reasonably oversold. That is very bullish. That adds some confidence to the Elliott Wave count, along with that bear market channel breach. Likewise with money flow, there's bullish divergence. Money flow only just dipped into oversold. ATR is really flat. That's pretty normal for the end of a bear market, possibly starting to see a very slight rise as price starts to move up off that low. Early days though, and stochastics neutral. So with a bullish candlestick reversal pattern, oversold RSI, and strong bullish divergence between RSI, money flow and price, that adds support to the Elliott Wave count at the weekly time frame. Let's have a look at this on the daily, and then we'll look at what's happening over here. On the daily, the downward movement finished with a very strong spike down, and that had push from volume. We see a bullish piercing pattern just up after the low, some dragonfly dojis. This is a shooting star, but it's more in the context of a sideways movement now. So there are candlestick reversal patterns. The downward movement ended with a bit of a volume spike. That's really normal behavior at the end of bear markets. The bullish piercing pattern does have push from volume on the daily chart. That is really impressive to see. We don't always see strength off lows for these markets. Not immediately anyway. The spike and upward movement on this week is coming from this session and this session, upward session. So that volume spike for upward movement is volume pushing price higher. For the current situation, Price is range bound with resistance just above 6.5 and support about 5.2. We need to see a breakout above resistance or below support for confidence in the direction of the next trend. For short term, there is strongest volume in this recent downward session, which was 19th of April, but then price falls of its own weight towards support. Now, the last completed session, or the current session, 27th of April, so far is green and does have push from volume. So let's expect for the short term a little bit more of an upward push. On balance volume would have no new range. I'm not going to draw a range here, no new signal. Made lows with price. At the low down here, on balance volume exhibited some very strong bullish divergence. At the low down here, on the daily time frame, ADX did reach very extreme for the downward trend. Currently, ADX is again indicating a downward trend that supports the short-term view for the Elliott Wave count of a little bit more downward movement. RSI currently neutral. On the daily chart, did not exhibit bullish divergence between swing lows, but did reach fairly deeply oversold. Money flow did exhibit bullish divergence between lows. The close here, 4.2911, and the close here, 3.00. Price closed lower, money flow higher, bullish divergence. That supports the Elliott Wave count again. There's quite a lot of support for that count in these charts, and money flow currently neutral. ATR declining as price is moving sideways and a little bit lower, so there's a bit of weakness in this downward movement. Again, that supports the Elliott Wave count. At the end of the bear market, there was overall a decline as price moved toward the final low, with the exception of the final session, which was a strong spike. Stochastics exhibited bullish divergence, is currently oversold. So for the current situation, there is a downward trend according to ADX, and RSI is not extreme, although stochastics is oversold. That can remain extreme for quite a while when the market trends. So we use RSI, not stochastics, in a trending market. There is room for this downward trend to continue, but for the very, very short term, looks like price is bouncing up off support. We need to see a break below support to have confidence in the short-term expectation, the Elliott Wave count, that expects more downward movement to 4.3263. For the longer term, there is quite a lot of evidence on those charts to support the view that this low of week beginning 11th of December 2022 is likely to be sustained. That's it for me with Filecoin analysis for you. I've got XRP as the last on my list of what my membership have requested. When that's done, I'll be running a new vote probably next week on my channel, asking my subscribers on my YouTube channel, what other markets do you want me to give you free analysis of coming up? So thank you all, everybody, for your support.